To balance the loss of Jones, some guest players were pulled in. One of these was Lexi Moore. He kept a diary every day.
It just says, Monday 25th of April 1949, left Londonderry in the 11:10 train en route Belfast, spent the day in Belfast, saw a film on Concord featuring Gary Cooper and Paulette Goddard. Today feeling a little lonely, only wish I was started on the journey. Weather terrible.
Jackie Denver was another Celtic player who made the US trip.
Met at Belfast station and went in the Enterprise to Dublin and then went on down to Cork and was stopped. I think it was the Imperial Hotel in Cork, and then went down to Cove and got a tender out to the Mauritania, took us over, and they cleared the decks well for us, and a lot of the passengers on the boat lined round the side of the deck, and we played a match, and they were very happy with the football they got on the boat. We had a swim after it, went into the bath and had a swim, the pool, and had a swim after it, and this went on every day, and it was, well, we didn't need all that much training because it was at the end of the season anyway.
What a perfect setting for letting dreams come true. Our chance to sail away.
Once they arrived in America, the players were feted at every turn.
I think they worshipped us. All you see in the front of this diary is all the addresses of all the people in America who wanted us up, and they had left home at different times, and they were sort of clamouring for the check. Each player, 4 or 5 players to each home, and this went on all during the tour. There were some sad occasions too, because I always remember we met some GI brides who, believe it or not, had left their husbands after they had emigrated to America, and that wasn't a very pretty sight because they didn't want their people back home to know that they didn't do so well. So there was sad times and good times.
John Kennedy has written a history of Belfast Celtic.
The programme in America, in fact, consisted of 8 or 9 or 10 games, but there was only one game that people talk about, and that was the game against the Scottish international team. The great Scottish team that had just won the home internationals. They had stopped England at Wembley. They were full of great players. I remember there was a story Harry Walker told. He was a Celtic captain at the time. When he went up to shake hands with the Scotland captain, the Scotland captain said, "Well, Harry, I hope you give us a bit of a match." And Harry said, "Well, I think you're in for a surprise."
I had a few friends that came down from New England to see the match. There was space in the bus for a couple more, so I asked Lee Scott any chance of getting my 2 friends in the bus. I thought I had no chance. Oh, he says, certainly. He says, put your friends in the bus. So I put the 2 friends in the bus, and when I went in, one of them started smoking. Scott seen him, he says, "Is that the sort of friends you have to smoke in the bus at a football match?" So he made your man to put the cigarette out and apologised to him, and he forgot all about the smoking and all, and invited everybody back to the hotel after the match.
Celtic won the match 2-0. We had a small club team from Ireland defeating the Scotland international team.
Sunday the 29th of May. Now, don't forget this was written 50 years ago. Today has been the most sensational day of my life. The way these Scottish international teams, since they arrived at the hotel here, they would hardly speak to us. To play and score against them was something of a dream come true. After the game we were carried off the field, and to mention the $100 bonus, which is equal to £25, which we have to get for winning. I went to the pictures with Johnny Denver and the Lurgan fellows.
Now you imagine a kid of 14 and 15 and a team called Belfast Celtic beat Scotland in New York City. I was the proudest bloody Irishman, and I was only a kid. Somebody told me about it, but that was my team. And if Linfield had done the same, I would have felt the same.
Now is the hour when we must say goodbye. Soon you'll be sailing
was all over. Time to head home. The great ship docked at Cobb in County Cork, and the players boarded a train for the journey first to Dublin, then Belfast. Bud Ahern, a Limerick man and one of the finest defenders ever to play for Belfast Celtic, was the first to disembark. It was the beginning of the end.
I'll always remember he was the first one to leave us, and he had this pint of Guinness. Definitely had a pint, and as the train passed by, and that was the last I saw Bud Ahern.
There was rumours about Celtic were going to leave the league, and they started to sell off players then, and I think Jackie Vernon was maybe the first to go. They sold into West Brom, and Bud Ahern then went, and Robin Lawler, and the feeling was that the shareholders wanted collateral called in and sort of get in and get it and get out, because there was a lot of animosity and stone throwing, and I think the writing was on the wall then.
They did in fact play a few friendly matches after that in Celtic Park and so on. Crowds of 25,000, 30,000 people still turned up to watch them. I remember reading a report that they played Glasgow Celtic, Charlie Tully and all. There was a big banner in the crowd when you know come back again. But now we know they won't.
Not everyone sees the now infamous Boxing Day incident as the death knell. Harry Gregg.
I did not and will not believe in my heart of hearts that game against Linfield had anything to do with the disbandment of Celtic Football Club. It wasn't because of football they went. It wasn't because of what happened at Windsor Park on that day. There was other things. They talk about the things that are evil in life, money and religion. That wasn't the second one. I couldn't tell you it was the first one.
Albert Curry thinks Celtic's withdrawal was all about money. For Celtic Park wasn't just a football ground, it doubled as a greyhound stadium.
They were forced out of football, having to give up the ground to the doggy men, which in turn sold that ground for many millions of pounds to the Park supermarket now.
I'm not bitter, I am old, but the quality of football today is not in the same class. In the Irish game, because of what happened to Celtic, the Irish League is at a big loss.
By the start of the 1949-50 season, the most successful club in Irish football history had folded. They'd won 4 league championships in a row, and 10 years later beat this record with 5 in a row. They had strikers who scored from 70 to 80 goals in a season, and one centre forward who found the net 11 times in one game. And they had defeated the Scottish national team, the finest international side in these islands. If this great team had survived, Irish players might not have had to go to England to play top-class football. The Irish League might now be bursting with talented players and clubs honed by real competition. But equally, had Belfast Celtic played on into the 60s and 70s, the terraces may have hosted sectarian violence, the like of which has never been seen in football. Certainly, few would wish Belfast Celtic back in Northern Ireland while the taste of the Troubles is still fresh. The sad facts are that 50 years ago, the greatest of Irish football clubs closed its gates for good. And its passing left fans baffled and angry. Some, like Joe Reynolds, still are.
Here's one thing I want to say to you. I thought it was an awful injustice to Celtic supporters, them going out of football. It was a terrible injustice to the Celtic supporters. It left a vacuum, if you know what I mean. Like, just imagine Manchester United, for instance, today going out of football. What would their supporters feel like? See what I mean? Well, that's the way I think about it too, And I don't know what the real reason was. They say it was because of Jimmy Jones incident, but I don't know.
We passed down stories of the great Celtic players. They would look at teams today and say the Irish League football's rubbish, it's no good anymore. Since Celtic left, the standard has dropped dramatically. And just stories.
I remember we had a Celtic match at Brandywell, and it deliberately went up to the gate they came out of. Noticed them coming out, and they came out like film stars. They wanted to see a coach that Jack Vernon and on them. That's right. They were like film stars. A whole lot of them like film stars.
That here.
He had a big tweed top coat with a tie, no buckle, tied.
What do you see him? Immaculate, a butcher.
Oh, I missed him terrible. It broke my heart, so it was like a death, you know.
Should the grand old team play for? Should the grand old team be dead? When you read its history, it's enough to make your heart grow sad.
I'm George Best. This programme was a Something Else production for BBC Radio 5 Live.